What I've got here is a skateboard truck that is completely taken apart, and I've got some new parts right here that I'm going to replace some old ones with. Now what happened to this truck, the kingpin broke and I've got to replace it with a new one. Now the kingpin is the big bolt that goes through the base plate and it holds the whole thing together as one unit. Now what I'm also going to do is replace the bushings. The bushings can sometimes be the cause of breaking the kingpin because they do get old, the oil evaporates out of them, and they can crack. Now the color is not just for looks, it also determines the bushing's durometer. Now you want to make sure that you're going to match the durometer with your other truck that's still on your board, because what's going to happen if you don't, you could end up with a truck that's too hard or too soft and your board's going to be lopsided. So what I'm going to do now is show you how I'm going to take it out. This kingpin broke flush. If yours didn't, file around the edges of the kingpin because any little shard is going to make it difficult to hammer out. I'm going to use my new kingpin to hammer out the old one, and I'm going to use my shoe to hold the base plate in place. What I got to do is line up the new kingpin right on top of the old one and just start hammering really hard. But I'm only going to get the kingpin out about halfway because the bottom of it is going to hit the ground. If you're going to do this, be sure that you're right on top of that kingpin when you're hammering and that you're also at the right angle or you're going to ruin the threads of the new kingpin. Now you can see how much of the kingpin I've got hammered out, and it's about a third of the way. And you can see what the other side looks like. And from the side, you can see that the kingpin is already sticking out a little bit at the bottom of the base plate. Now I'm going to hammer the rest of the kingpin out on the grass. And you can start on the grass if you want to, but there's just not enough resistance because the grass is too soft. But since I've already got it started on the ground, it's going to be a lot easier to hammer out on the grass. And you can see that when I was hammering, it was a lot easier and it just popped out. Now that I got that broken kingpin out of my base plate, I can now stick in a new kingpin. Now newer types of trucks require newer types of kingpins. And the newer ones have the rounded ends and they have the splines, which are the raised edges and grooves on the end of it. Now you also find the splines inside the base plate. Now what you got to do is line up these splines by slipping in the kingpin and just spinning the kingpin until it lines up with those grooves. And there we go. And just give it a little push with your thumb and help it to just kind of get into place there. Now if you don't line up the splines, you're going to be hammering this kingpin in for days. So really make sure that you get them lined up right. Now for older types of trucks, they have the hexagon shape and kingpin. Now they're a lot easier to get in. And all you would have to do for the older types of trucks is just put the base plate between two 2x4s, maybe take an old kingpin or a new kingpin or take your old one and just start to hammer it in. Now that works great for the older ones, but unfortunately for these newer ones they require you to hammer as hard as you can and it takes a lot of work. So what can happen is with all that hammering and all that pressure, the base plate can crack where the hardware goes in, and it can also crack in the center. Now so what you want to do for these newer ones is you want to put all the pressure for when this thing is going in around the kingpin and just on the really heavy part of the base plate. So the next best thing is to just take a big socket, now a long one, and you just got to make sure before you do this that it's going to go down all the way. So I've got a long enough one here, I'll just slip it in there, and since I've got a whole set, I've got a smaller socket here that's perfect size, and I can just start hammering it down. As you can see, I duct taped the socket that has the kingpin inside. If you need to, you can duct tape another socket on the other side, which is the one that you're going to be hammering on, just to help hold everything in place as you're hammering. I put a little piece of duct tape on the ground to keep the whole thing from slipping. Once I get a good hold of everything, I can just start hammering away. And it looks like it's going down just fine. Yep, looking pretty good. And just double check to make sure that it's in all the way. Yep, that one looks perfect. As you can see, hammering in that new kingpin wasn't that hard. Now I got a quick question for you. How many bushings are in one truck? I wonder how many of you said 2. There's actually 3. Most people always forget the small pivot cup bushing that's inside the base plate. Now that can be the cause of the Kingpin actually breaking in the first place. They wear down, they break down, so it's a good idea just to replace everything. And so now let's go ahead and put it back together. So we'll start with the big washer and we'll stick the big bushing in. Take our hanger, stick it on. Now we'll stick on the small bushing with the small side up. Now the small washers, before I put it on, I wanted to point out that sometimes these can get dented in pretty good if you like your trucks really tight, and sometimes they could actually completely flip over. They've got a little bit of a lip there. Sometimes they'll just totally flip. So if you've got one that's dented in pretty good, it's a good idea just to go ahead and replace it. It's not that much. So I'll just now stick on my Kingpin nut. Just tighten it on there a little bit. Now all I gotta do is just tighten it down all the way, match it up with my other truck, and then I can go skate.